My beloved child, you once lifted your eyes and asked, "Is there anyone who hears the silent cries of my heart?" And I, the one who never slumbers, am the very one who heard those words from the hidden depths you have never dared to reveal. Not a single word you whispered in the dark escaped my notice. Not a single tear fell without being recorded by me. What you thought was silence was in fact the place where I planted the roots of a new journey, one that would lead you out of doubt into an unshakable radiance. I know the road you've walked, not only because I witnessed it, but because I walked it with you quietly. In every weary breath and hesitant step, you once thought I was distant, but I have been closer than you could ever imagine. Just as the pillar of cloud once guided my people through the wilderness, I too am present in your barren places, leading you out of confusion and into deep peace. But to move forward, you must let go. Let go of the things that seem to keep you alive, but are, in truth, draining the life from your soul. I have seen what happens within you as the world spins to rhythms that do not belong to me. You were swept up in its momentum, trying to keep pace with rhythms others built. Yet something inside you kept calling you back to purity, purity, untouched by the clamor of men. That voice was mine. I am not the loud cry of the crowd. I am the whisper that keeps your soul from breaking. And today, I whisper to you once more, not to accuse, but to awaken what you have forgotten. You were not made to be swept along, but to be led by me. O chosen one, do not think my presence is reserved for only holy moments. I am in your hurried mornings, in the shallow breaths you take while hiding your fear. I am in the unfinished dreams, in the song that suddenly stills your heart. Every smallest detail of your day, I use them all to call you back to life. But many times, you've missed it, not because your heart is hard, but because you are weary, not because you turned away, but because you've forgotten how to open your heart. So today, I rewrite my invitation in the language of the heart, where no explanation is needed, only presence. I want you to stop running, not because you cannot reach the destination, but because the destination is not at the end of the path, but in every step you take with me, right where you fell. I can rebuild something stronger, right where you feel emptied. I can pour in what you never dared hope for. But to let me do that, you must pause, be still, and look into my eyes where there is no condemnation, only a gaze that draws you home. I do not love you because you are strong. I love you even in your frailty. I did not choose you because of your achievements, but because I saw within you a small, true flame, something the world cannot extinguish. You do not need to prove anything to me. All I long for from you is sincerity, even if broken in pieces. I can make something miraculous out of it. There was once a woman who came to me with nothing but tears and tangled hair, yet she touched my heart more deeply than the grandest prayers of the self-righteous. In the same way, I do not need you to become something else for me to love you more. All I desire is for you to have the courage to come near. Come to me with what you have, your chaos, your cracks, and even the unspoken doubts still tangled within. Let me tell you this, I am not afraid of your wounds, nor am I put off by the questions you haven't dared to ask. I am the one who touched the leper, who embraced the outcast about to be stoned, who shared a meal with the betrayer, and who wept at the tomb of a dead friend. My love is not limited by the standards of worthiness the world imposes. Beloved, the very breath in my heart, the time has come for you. to no longer strive just to survive. It is time for you to step out from the shell of false perfection and enter into true communion, a place where I do not love you because you are right, but because I am faithful, and I have chosen you. I do not see you through the lens of your failures, but through the eyes of a creator who is still writing your story. You once thought of yourself as merely a broken fragment, but it is precisely those fragments that make the vessel of my glory real. Remember this: whole vessels are not always the ones used at my banquet, but vessels that have been shattered and then restored by my own hands, those are the ones I fill with the most precious things. You are one of those vessels, O soul that is searching. There are things that cannot be seen with the natural eye, but can only be felt by a heart that has been broken and longs for the sacred. I know how many times you've asked why certain paths have grown strangely dark, even though you believed you were walking in the light. I also know of the nights you lay there, eyes wide open, not because sleep escaped you, but because your heart was heavy with unspoken burdens. In that silence, you thought you were alone, but in truth, I was there, sitting beside you, waiting for you to return, not to condemn you, but to heal you. You may have once carried a burning faith, lived by promises, and gazed up at the heavens with the eyes of a child who believed miracles were near. But then the years dulled those convictions. Harsh realities led you to question not only the dream but yourself. There came a point when you no longer knew whether you were on the right path or lost in a maze built by your own thoughts. But hear this: I have not come to rebuke your weakened faith. I have come to remind you that true faith is not an unending blaze, but the ability to stand even when the flame has died and only embers remain in your chest. There is one thing I long for you to know: I have never left. Not once. Not a single step. When you thought every door was shut, I was there at the final one, waiting for your knock. When you felt forgotten among countless others, deemed more important, I was still calling your nomino with the voice of the crowd, but with the whisper meant only for one soul. That voice has never ceased. It echoed in the moments you felt unseen, unknown, and unneeded. And it was in those seemingly meaningless seconds that I was penning the most treasured chapters of your life. You do not need to pretend to be strong for me to love you. You do not need to act perfectly for me to listen. In fact, I want you to come just as you are, full of questions, full of scars, full of empty places yet to be filled. I am not afraid of your chaos. It is that very chaos that is fertile ground for me to plant true life. If everything in you were in order, you would not need me. But because you are incomplete, I now have room to reveal my completeness in you. Do not measure yourself by the standards the world has handed you. Do not believe that you are less valuable in my sight because you have not achieved anything great. Abraham was called when he had no child. Moses was called after he had fled from his past. And David, the one forgotten in the fields, was the one I chose to become king. I have never made my choices based on credentials. I choose based on the heart that listens, that dares to move forward without guarantees, and that has the courage to trust in what cannot be seen. If there remains in you even a flicker of longing, no matter how faint, I can begin from there. You once blamed yourself for being weak, but it is precisely in that weakness that I find the opportunity to act. When Paul pleaded with me to take away the thorn in his flesh, I did not remove it. Instead, I gave him grasano to escape the pain, but to learn how to live above it. I spoke to him then, and today I speak the same to you. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. So, beloved one, do not be ashamed of the vulnerable places within you. Let me step into them not to hide them, but to shine through them, to heal and to transform. Do not be afraid of silence. I do not work in haste. What is rushed may impress for a moment, but what I build with time will stand through every storm. You may think I have been quiet, but in that stillness, I have been aligning the pieces, clearing the path, and preparing fertile ground so that what I sow in you may take deep root, just like a seed buried in the soil, unseen, unpraised beneath it all. A steady preparation is unfolding, and when the time comes, it will rise, and nothing can stop the life that comes from the one who planted it. My beloved, do not force yourself to understand everything. True wisdom is not the ability to predict, but the trust that I am the one who knows it all. When I told Abraham to go to a land he had never seen, he didn't ask for a map. He asked only one thing: will you go with me? And I did. In the same way, the most important thing is not whether the destination looks glorious, but who is walking with you. If it is I, then whether you are in a wilderness or on the mountaintop, you shall lack nothing. You once longed for something explosive, a miracle that would shake the earth, a clear answer from the heavens, an unexpected event that would turn your life around. But instead, what you've received are simple, ordinary moments strung together, quiet days without visible glory. And yet, it is within those seemingly meaningless moments that I have been working in secret. Do not measure my faithfulness by the grandeur of the scene. I do not always come through storms, earthquakes, or blazing fire. Sometimes, like with Elijah, I come in a gentle whisper, and that whisper carries my voice strong enough to redirect a soul on the verge of collapse. You are still here, bruised, weary, but present, and that is no accident. If I had no further plan for you, you would not still be standing. The breath in your lungs is proof of a story unfinished. The blood flowing in your veins is testimony that my purpose for you still unfolds. Do not let momentary disappointment cause you to despise the eternal value I have placed within you. Stop staring at the cracks and begin to listen to the resonance I am releasing through them. The broken places are where my light enters. The empty spaces are where I move most miraculously. Do not doubt yourself simply because others cannot perceive your inner battle. Some battles are known only to you and me. And for that reason, only I can rightly judge your faithfulness in the darkest nights. How many times have you stood at the crossroads between surrender and perseverance, and though your body trembled, you chose to move forward? Though your heart was confused, you refused to return to old paths. Though your tears blurred your sight, you still placed each footstep in faith. That path is not adorned. No one applauds. No one recognizes, but heaven knows. I see. And that is why I call you deeply beloved. You think you have done nothing great, but in my kingdom, it is faithfulness in the small that lays the foundation for what is great. Do not wait for a grand opportunity to prove your love for me. Every small act, every choice to keep a pure heart, every time you chose forgiveness when you had reason to resental, of these are precious offerings before me. Sometimes, silent obedience holds more power than the most eloquent sermon. When a soul chooses to walk uprightly in the quiet, hell trembles, for it knows that glory will be revealed from the very place the world overlooked. You think you need to change your circumstances in order to serve me. But more often, I use your current circumstances to change you, not because I lack other options, but because I am shaping you from the inside out. Before I used Moses to deliver an entire nation, I let him spend 40 years in the quiet solitude of the wilderness. Before I brought Joseph to the throne of Egypt, I allowed him to pass through the pit, the prison, and betrayal. Those places were not punishment, they were preparation rooms. And in the same way, the situations that make you feel forgotten are actually the very places where I am refining you, readying you to be lifted up at the appointed time. You don't need to chase after external light. What I desire is to make you become the light. And true light is not something dazzling that blinds others. It is a quiet presence that radiates life, warms the soul, and brings direction in the darkness. To become that kind of light, you must be filled, not with knowledge, but with the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit only dwells where there is a willingness to let go of self-sufficiency and a deep hunger for what is truly sacred. I am not looking for the most talented. I am looking for the most surrendered. Not for reputation, not for background, not for charisma, but for a heart that is soft and sincere. You might be worrying, but I am too small, too unworthy, too invisible among so many others. Oh, remember this. With a small stone, David struck down a giant. With a simple staff, Moses parted the Red Sea. With 5 loaves and 2 fish, I fed thousands. It was not because those things were great in themselves, but because they were offered, and once something is surrendered, I can multiply it beyond natural ability. So surrender yourself, just as you are, and leave the rest to me. This journey will not be easy. There will be trials. There will be stumbles. There will be moments when you long to return to what is familiar simply because it feels safe. But don't trade freedom for comfort. Don't abandon truth just because it wounds. I know this path is narrow, but it is the path that leads to life. And you are not walking it alone. I myself will take every step with you, over every hill, through every valley, and even on roads that seem to have no way forward. I will uphold you when you are weak, carry you when you collapse, and go before you to make a way in the dark. There comes a stage in the spiritual journey where silence seems louder than sound, when you no longer hear my voice, no longer feel the prompting, and the heavens seem closed. That is not the moment I have withdrawn from you, but the moment I am inviting you to go deeper into the realm of absolute trust, a place where faith no longer depends on emotion, no longer seeks validation from circumstances, and no longer demands confirmation from the outside. In that place, I do not measure your love by what you feel, but by how you choose to trust me in what you do not understand. You used to think that spiritual maturity meant hearing my voice daily, witnessing miracles constantly, and feeling my presence intensely. But there is a deeper depth where I train your soul not through obvious signs, but through intentional silence. Just as a teacher steps back during the test so the student may demonstrate what they've learned, I conceal myself so that you may exercise the faith that has been planted in you. It is in that silence that you learn to recall what I have spoken, not to find a new feeling, but to lean upon the word already given, for my word does not change, even when your feelings do. I remember when Jerusalem was plunged into exile, when my people were scattered, when the kingdom was no more, and prophecy seemed to have gone silent. Yet even amidst the ashes, He kept my promise. I still saw those who quietly remained faithful, still heard the weeping of hearts that would not abandon the covenant. Some promises took entire generations to be fulfilled, but I never forgot them. In the same way, my child, what I have sown into you has not been forgotten. No matter how much time has passed or how contrary the circumstances may appear, not a single tear has been in vain. Not one prayer has vanished into the void. All are being stored like bowls of incense, waiting to be poured out at the appointed time. You may not realize it, but in the silence, I have been leading you into depth. I no longer speak to you merely as a child, but now address you as one who has grown in faith. I am training you not only to receive blessings, but to carry spiritual responsibility. Depth does not come from hearing many revelations, but from obeying even when you hear nothing. It is unconditional obedience that shakes the heavens. When Abraham walked, not knowing where he was going, when he prepared to offer up Isaac, not knowing whether there would be a way out, those were the moments he stepped into the land of everlasting covenant. And likewise, I am calling you to walk by the light of what I have spoken, not by the light of your circumstances. You may see others touched instantly, while you feel left behind. You may witness promises fulfilled all around you, while you remain in waiting, but you do not see what I am building within you, a foundation that cannot be shaken. For I do not want to give you a blessing you are not yet strong enough to carry. I will not take you to a place your inner life is unprepared for. I am not a careless giver. I am a father who teaches with purpose. And sometimes, delay is my mercy shielding you from future collapse. I love you too much to grant you something that could cause you to lose yourself. So I will wait. I will dig deeper. I will refine and shape you until you are strong enough to hold what I have destined to give. In days that seem pointless, I am teaching you to discern my voice among the multitude of noises. When you can no longer feel me, you are learning to lean on truth. When you can no longer see, you are learning to trust in the heart of the one who never changes. And when you no longer know what to pray, you are learning to be silent in trust. That silence is the deepest form of praise. That perseverance is the most powerful testimony. That refusal to give up is the most courageous act of all. My child, I see you, even when you do not see me. I am there. I do not always intervene, but I am always present. I do not always answer immediately, but I always listen. I am leading you through the wilderness, not to punish you, but to strengthen you. Manna no longer falls from the sky as before, but that does not mean I have stopped providing. Now I am teaching you to eat from my word, to live by every drop of wisdom, and to walk in unwavering faith. Do not measure the worth of a day by how you feel. Measure it by the faithfulness you keep. A silent day is not a wasted day. A day without miracles can still be the day I pen a turning point in your soul. You do not need to hear me to know I am working. The soil cannot see the seed sprouting, but the harvest still comes. Likewise, the seed I have planted in your heart is growing at the pace of heaven, not rushed, not faltering, but exact and certain. There are seasons when every door seems to close, every path turns obscure, and the waiting stretches endlessly, as though without resolution. In such moments, it is easy to feel abandoned, as if every prayer only echoes back into a silent void. But my child, that silence is not rejection. It is a necessary season for your soul to be refined like gold in the furnace. I am neither inattentive nor asleep. I watch your every step, every anxious beat of your heart, every upward glance you cast toward a sky that feels unresponsive. Do you remember when I led the Israelites out of Egypt? I did not take them straight into the promised land, but led them through the wilderness. That was not punishment. It was the process of forming a people who would learn to listen, to obey, and to trust, even when there was nothing to cling to but my promise. In that barren place, I gave them manna from heaven, water from the rock, and a cloud to shield them from the scorching sun. But more than that, I wanted them to know that I am not only the God of miracles, I am the God who is present even when miracles are delayed. In the same way, you are walking through your own wilderness, and every day that passes without a visible breakthrough is another opportunity for your faith to take root more deeply in holy ground. There are things you have prayed for over and over again, yet still you have not seen an answer. You wonder if it's because you're not good enough, not worthy enough, or lacking in faith. But I say to you, those are not the conditions for receiving grace. Grace does not come by merit, it comes by my loving choice. If you have not yet seen change, it does not mean you are unloved. On the contrary, in the delay, I am shielding you from things you do not yet understand, orchestrating layers in the unseen realm so that all things will unfold at the time when you can receive them without breaking under their weight. Sometimes, a closed door is not meant to hurt you, but to protect you from what was never meant to be yours. My child, learn to stand firm even when nothing is urging you forward except my word. In that place, you will discover a new depth of intimacy. When I do not respond with immediate action, I still respond with my presence. That presence is not always dramatic or supernatural. It might come as an unexplainable peace in the midst of a storm. It might be a verse from Scripture that suddenly burns in your heart during prayer. It might be a sense of being held when everything around you is falling apart. Do not seek me only in the miraculous. Learn to recognize me in the quiet, in the seemingly small things, for it is there I am teaching you to see with eyes of faith. I know how deeply your heart longs for healing. I have seen you rise in the night, quietly asking for your body to be renewed, your mind to be calmed, your soul to find rest. Not one of those prayers is forgotten. But you must understand that healing is not merely the restoration of your physical body. It is a complete renewal from the soul to the spirit and finally to the flesh. I am healing you in ways you sometimes do not perceive. I am lifting old burdens from within you, healing wounded memories, and dismantling false beliefs you once mistook for truth. And when the deepest parts of you are touched, the outward will surely follow. There is a healing greater than physical strength. It is when the heart knows peace. The mind is liberated, and the soul finds rest in trust. I do not give halfway. I do not merely patch broken pieces. I rebuild the very foundation. I do not help you merely survive. I lead you into abundant life. And for that to happen, sometimes I must dismantle the old things you are still clinging to, the limiting thoughts, the spiritual ruts, the habits that choke your inner breath. All these must be laid down so that you may receive what is new. Look back on the days that have passed, and you will see this one thing. Even though I have not always moved in the way you expected, I have never abandoned you. I have always orchestrated something better for you. Delay is not denial, it is preparation for something greater. When you learn to wait without complaining, when you remain faithful, even when there is no visible result, when you praise me in the middle of the night, that is when heaven begins to move. In that place, not a single act of yours is forgotten. Every act of faithfulness is a seed. And the harvest, my child, is drawing closer than you think. There are promises I planted in your heart long ago. Sacred whispers you once held on to through tears or moments of profound stirring. They were not random dreams. They were rays of heavenly light deposited within you as dormant seeds, awaiting their appointed time to bloom. You may have forgotten them or assumed they had died, but I have not. I have never forgotten a single word I promised. I am not confined by human calendars. Every promise I speak is woven into the eternal flow of time, and at the appointed moment, it will bear fruit if you still hold on by faith. Perhaps you once saw a clear vision in your spirit, a door opening, a journey beginning, a great calling taking shape, and over time, that vision seemed to blur beneath the weight of trials. You asked yourself, did I hear wrongly? Was it all just imagination? But I tell you, my word never returns void. When I sow into your heart a message, a picture, a deep sense from my spirit, I also supply the power to bring it to fulfillment. What you must not lose is your faith in the midst of the waiting. My child, true faith is not believing in what you already see, it is continuing to walk even when nothing is yet visible. Like Abraham, who left his homeland and his father's house based only on an unfulfilled promise. He did not know where he was going, but he trusted the one who had called him, for he is faithful. And because of that, Abraham became the father of a promised nation. You may not see the full picture, but if you know the one who painted it, that is enough. Do not try to decipher every detail. Learn instead to trust the hand that holds your future. Do not let external delays cause you to lose the inner flame of faith. You may see others stepping into their harvest, being elevated while you are still trudging through the mud. But I have a distinct timeline for you. Comparison will weary the heart and cloud the purpose I uniquely crafted for you. Remember, I do not repeat my work. Every soul is a one-of-a-kind journey. You are not falling behind, you are being prepared. In the scriptures, Joseph is a living example. The dreams he received in his youth seemed completely contradicted by the reality he endured: betrayal, being sold, imprisonment, and yet it was through those very steps that seemed all wrong that I carried him into a position he could never have imagined. Had he not held on to the dream even when forgotten in a prison cell, there would have been no day standing before Pharaoh. I tell you this not to retell an old story, but to rekindle in you this assurance: I am still at work, even when no one sees. Everything you are walking through is still within the orbit of grace I have already set in motion. My child, I do not only care about the outward results, I cherish what is growing inside of you. When you hold on to promises during barren seasons, you are being shaped into a vessel that endures. When you choose faithfulness while everything around you urges you to quit, you are inscribing spiritual marks in the heavenly realms. Angels are recording every spiritual decision, and I do not overlook a single one. Sometimes what you are waiting for has not yet arrived. Not because I have forgotten, but because it is too weighty to be given before your heart is ready to carry it. I want you to learn how to keep the flame of faith burning even when circumstances are not in your favor. That is how the prophets of old lived. They believed when no one else believed. They continued to proclaim the message, even while being mocked. Continued to obey, even when they were rejected. And because of this, they were deemed as those of whom the world was not worthy. So it is with you when you choose obedience in silence. When you choose to love despite being hurt. When you choose to trust even before you see them, you are becoming more like me. There are things that only bloom after years of seeming forgetfulness. Like a mustard seed, small and unnoticed, but when it grows, it becomes a strong tree where many birds can make their nests. My child, what I have sown into your heart is not meant to be buried and forgotten. I saw you grasp those words through your tears. And it is precisely in the darkness of waiting that the roots of your faith are digging deeper. Do not worry if others do not understand your journey. Do not be discouraged if you cannot explain everything you are waiting for. It is enough that I know, and that you are holding on. Hold fast to the words I have spoken. Repeat them in your heart daily, not as a ritual, but as life itself. Let my promises nourish you, just as manna did in days of old. Do not let the enemy plant seeds of doubt in your heart. He fears what you will become if you do not give up. He cannot steal the promise, so he tries to rob you of your faith. But if you remain steadfast, if you continue to stand firm, then nothing he does can stop what I have ordained for you. I am the one who keeps my word. Not a single word from my mouth falls to the ground without bearing fruit. My beloved child, keep walking not because you have seen, but because you have believed, and in a very near day, you will see with your own eyes what I have etched into your soul from the beginning. My beloved, there are times when your soul feels empty, not because your faith has failed, but because you are entering a season of inner reshaping. The prolonged silence you are enduring is not abandonment from mate, is part of a process of refinement. In the spiritual realm, silence does not mean absence. In fact, it is often the time when I work most deeply within your soul quietly, but persistently, like a potter. I mold you in hiddenness, placing you into the kiln to complete the shape I have designed. No one sees this happening, but when the day of completion comes, the beauty will leave many in awe. In these moments, you may feel as though your prayers do not go beyond the ceiling, as though the heavens are shut and my presence is distant. But it is precisely in these dry places that you are learning a kind of faith that no circumstance can shake. You are no longer depending on emotion, no longer requiring instant miracles, but simply continuing step by step in obedience, step by step in faithfulness, because you know I am there, even when unseen. That is what maturity looks like. There are seasons in the spiritual life when all outward signs seem to vanish. The emotions no longer overflow like they once did. The powerful stirrings during worship become rare. And if you do not understand this, you may think your faith has grown cold. But in reality, this may be the time when you are transitioning from spiritual infancy into spiritual maturity. When a child is first learning to walk, it needs the constant nearness of its mother. But as it grows, the mother can step back a little, allowing the child to learn how to stand on its own. In the same way, I am teaching you how to stand firm in truth even when the feelings are no longer as vivid as they once were. You once walked by leaning on spiritual emotions and intense experiences, but now I am calling you to lean on my word, the word that never changes. The enemy is cunning in using feelings of isolation to sow seeds of doubt. He whispers in your ear that I no longer love you, that you've been abandoned, that everything you once believed was just an illusion. But my child, do not believe those lies. Just as Jesus was tempted by the devil in the wilderness, it was in hunger and solitude that he stood firm by declaring what was written. Do the same. Don't argue with your emotions. Stand on the truth. My child, it is in this silence that I am teaching you how to walk without relying on noise. I want you to become sensitive to recognize my presence in the smallest of things, a ray of sunlight slipping through the window, a scripture that suddenly comes alive, a gentle thought that passes through your mind. These could all be me. You don't need an earthquake to know that I am near. Sometimes I come in a gentle breeze, and you can only perceive that if your soul has been trained in stillness. I am also teaching you how not to be swayed by other voices. In an age where anyone can speak, discernment is more valuable than ever. Not every word that sounds spiritual is from me, and not every dream, vision, or spiritual impression comes from the source of light. I want you to become someone who is not driven by emotions, but who knows how to test, how to be still, and how to wait for confirmation from me. Don't be too quick to believe. Place everything on the altar of prayer, and if it is from me, it will stand firm. In the book of Elijah, when the prophet was so discouraged that he wanted to give up, I did not rebuke him. I gave him food, rest, and then brought him into my presence to hear my voice again. But I did not come in the thunder, the strong wind, or the fire, those things that man often associates with power. I came in a gentle whisper. That taught Elijah and you that I do not always act in spectacular ways, but that does not make me any less glorious. Do not overlook the small things. Do not despise the simple. It is in the quiet that I am building in you a firm foundation, a place where faith no longer depends on atmosphere, where loyalty is no longer shaken by circumstances, and where love for me is no longer conditioned by outcomes. I am forming within you a spirit that can withstand even the fiercest storms without being moved. And my child, you may not even realize it, but in this very season, you are becoming a living sign for others. They are watching you, watching how you still worship in dryness, how you still trust in silence, and they are being strengthened. That is something even you have not fully seen. But in heaven, every act of your seven, the most hidden, is remembered and cherished. Persevere. My child, keep walking, even when there is no feeling. Keep reading my word, even when it feels dry. Keep worshiping, even when your tears no longer fall. Stay, even when everything in you wants to run, for in that perseverance, you are overcoming, and I, the one who sees all things, will reward you. Not because you were perfect, but because you did not give up. Beloved child, there is a profound lesson you must learn in this current season. It is the art of living with your eyes wide open to the unseen. Even when the visible world appears silent and barren, you are being led not by fleeting emotions, but by enduring faith. It is this very kind of faith that enabled Abraham to be willing to offer his son, and this same faith that compelled Daniel to open his windows and pray daily, even when death might have been waiting. This is the kind of faith that is not swayed by what is seen, but is upheld by what you know to be true deep within your spirit. Remember, maturity does not come in moments of miracles, but is forged through each decision made in the absence of light. It is choosing what is right when no one is watching. It is keeping a pure heart in a world saturated with deception. It is preserving your inner peace even when everything around you is in turmoil. This is not the kind of peace the world gives, but a peace refined through sorrow, made firm through trial, and deepened in the stillness. In these moments, I am teaching you the lesson of steadfastness, not the kind of strength that comes from pride or the absence of fear, but the strength that rises from one who has fallen, who has tasted failure, yet stands again because they know there is a hand that never lets go. I want you to become someone whom the darkness no longer startles, but rather someone who sees the light within more clearly in the midst of the dark. For darkness does not extinguish the light, it only makes the light shine more distinctly. My child, do not be afraid if those around you do not understand you, or if they think you are walking the wrong path simply because you do not follow the crowd. Do not seek validation from people to walk in the calling I've given you. There are things I have revealed to you that others are not able to see. Just like Joseph, who carried a dream, even his own brothers resisted. You too carry something that may be misunderstood, but I do not make mistakes when I plant dreams in a heart. If I have begun it, I will also bring it to completion, though the path may at times seem confusing. There will be times when it feels like you are moving backward, as if instead of getting closer to your calling, you are being pushed away from it. But remember, just as Moses had to spend 40 years in the wilderness before becoming the deliverer of a nation, you too may have to pass through long seasons of waiting and testing. This does not mean the plan has failed, it only means it is being perfected in my timing and in my way. Do not draw conclusions too early. I have not spoken the final word, and what I am preparing surpasses all you can imagine. Do not compare your journey to that of others. Each person is led by me at a different pace, in a unique way. Do not let someone else's temporary success cause you to question the worth of your path. What comes quickly also fades quickly, but what I build in depth will endure for generations. I am laying a foundation deep within you. A great work is never built in haste. Some will not understand why you remain silent, why you have not stepped out, why you are hidden. They may think you are afraid or lacking confidence, but the truth is, I am teaching you to discern between the time for action and the time for stillness. Not everyone is called to move at the same hour. Some flowers bloom at dawn, others at dusk. You are not late. You are exactly where you should be in the right place, the right season, held in the hand of the one who created time itself. I see your faithfulness in the smallest things. I see you continuing to pray, even when you no longer feel my presence. I see you persisting in reading my word, even without the initial emotion. These things are more precious than the dazzling actions admired by the world. It is in this hidden faithfulness that you are shaking the kingdom of darkness, for it cannot move a soul that is anchored in truth. Continue to be faithful. My beloved, do not demand miracles to sustain your belief. Do not seek constant confirmations to feel that you are not forgotten. True faith does not need to be nourished by continuous experiences, but is established upon my unchanging word. Let your heart be anchored in that eternal faithfulness, and you will not be swept away even in the fiercest of storms. If you keep your heart upright, your spirit humble, and your soul tender before me, then no power can stop you from reaching what I have appointed. The enemy will test you, but he cannot touch what has been sealed in the heavenly realms. My promises never return void. If I have planted a seed within your spirit, then the harvest will come in the right time, in the right way, and for the right purpose. My beloved, there will come a point in your journey when speed will no longer be the most important thing, but the direction you choose will be. Many paths will call to you, some will appear convenient, easy, and even appealing, but only one way leads to the fulfillment I have destined for you. Be cautious of the detours that seem bright, but draw you away from the true light. The enemy does not always come in a terrifying form. Sometimes he is cloaked in reason, in sweet invitations, in things that appear good, but are not from me. I am teaching you to discern what is right from what merely appears to be right. Not every opportunity is from me. Not every door that opens is a door I have prepared. Discernment is a sacred gift that must be cultivated through intimacy with me. When your heart aligns with my voice, you will begin to notice the smallest details that others overlook. That is what allowed Samuel in his youth to hear me calling in the night. While Eli, the old priest, could no longer recognize my presence, it was not because Samuel was gifted, but because his heart was willing to listen. My child, in an age where noise fills every corner of life, my voice remains gentle and still. It does not force its way in. It does not clamor, but it is always there. If you want to hear me, you must learn to be still. Make room in your soul so that I may speak into it. It is not that I cannot shout, but that I choose to whisper, because I do not merely want to be heard. I long to be listened to with the heart. If you remain silent long enough, you will realize that I have been speaking all along. It was only that your heart was not yet ready to hear. The calling I have placed on your life is not merely to do something great, but to become someone who bears my mark. This journey is not meant to take you to some external destination, but to transform you from within. I am shaping you as the potter shapes the clay, not because you are lacking, but because I know something more beautiful is waiting to be revealed. Do not fear the process. Do not despise the forming. I have never created anything ordinary out of suffering. Every crack I permit becomes an opening through which my glorious light may shine. You are entering a season where inner preparation matters more than anything else. Before I sent Elijah to confront the false prophets on Mount Carmel, I first led him to the brook of Kerith, a place of solitude, of lack, of daily dependence. That was not punishment, it was training. In the place unseen by others, I taught him dependence, humility, and complete trust. Only after he learned those lessons could Elijah stand strong before the people and fulfill the task I had given him. You too, if you find yourself in a Cherith season, do not lose heart too quickly. Allow me to sustain you there. Let me teach you how to eat the bread I provide each day. Instead of relying on reserves or control, when you master the art of living daily in dependence, you will become unshakable in the days of the storm. Do not rush to emerge when I am still hiding you. Do not demand to shine when I am still polishing you in the secret place. For when I bring you forth, it will not be a performance, but a manifestation of my power through you. In that moment, you will no longer need to speak of a testimony. Your very life will become a living proof of what I can do through a surrendered soul. And remember this, there are unseen helps surrounding you. Just as Elisha prayed for his servant's eyes to be opened, so must you be aware that the armies of heaven are not silent. I am still at work behind the scenes, still clearing the path, still softening the hearts of those you will encounter. Sometimes The delay you feel is not a rejection, but a form of protection. I delay so that what you enter is the right time, the best condition, the moment when every element has been put into place. Do not let your heart be troubled by gossip, by doubtful looks, or by the pressure of comparison. Do not abandon your vision simply because others have not yet seen it. You were not called to satisfy the crowd. You were chosen to please me alone. And when you live for that, I will move heaven and earth to back you up. My beloved child, remember this: in eternity, the only thing that holds value is obedience. Not what you have done for yourself, but what you have allowed me to do through you. That is the true mark, not one of popularity, but of transformation. When you let me fully possess you, you are not merely used, you are transformed. And that transformation will cause the world to know that I am the Eternal One, the Faithful One, the one who completes all that I have begun. As you draw closer to my will, there will be things that begin to fall away from your life. This is not loss, it is pruning. It is not an end in it, it is preparation. I am purifying the path you walk, removing the weights you cannot carry into the next season. There are ties, habits, and ways of thinking, though once helpful, that are no longer suited to the stature you are being called into. Do not mourn what I have taken away. Do not cling to what I have stamped finished. Pruning is never pleasant, but it is always necessary for you to bear more fruit. Let your heart be steadfast, for not everything that is removed was bad. Some things were good, but no longer right. Some relationships seemed strong, but they no longer walk in the same frequency with me. I do not want you building on the foundation of habit or emotion. I want you to build on revelation. And revelation only comes when you are willing to let go of the familiar, to free your hands so they can receive what is new. I cannot pour new wine into old wineskins. Neither can I release a new vision while your mind remains entangled in outdated patterns. Remember Abraham, who was called to leave his father's house and forsake all to journey to a land he had never seen. My promise to him was vast, a lineage as countless as the stars in the sky and the sand on the seashore. But the first condition I gave him was not a heroic act, but a departure. It was in that letting go that I fulfilled the plan I had for him. Likewise, you cannot hold on to everything and still expect to enter into the new. You cannot cling to safety and still experience the wonder of the faith walk. My beloved child, do not be afraid of the emptiness. Do not tremble at the silence. Do not rush to fill the void I have created with natural things. There are seasons when I leave you empty, not because you lack value, but because I am making room for something more precious to be placed within you. When a vessel is being cleansed, it must be emptied before it can be filled. When soil is tilled, it must lie bare before it can receive seed. I am doing that work within your heart, not to take away, but to prepare. Do not fear the feeling of bareness. It is the sign that planting is near. Be patient. Dear one, waiting is not a meaningless delay. It is an essential part of mature faith. When I cause you to wait, it is because I am aligning the right time, the right conditions, and the right preparation. Just as a mother must wait 9 months for the child to be fully formed, there are things in your life that also need time to develop, to stabilize, and to mature. If I bring you forth too soon, you would not be able to carry the weight of the blessing I intend to give. I love you too much to allow you to step out before you are ready. Let waiting become the place where you learn depth, where you learn not just what to do, but who to become. In a world that rushes, I call you to pause and learn supernatural peace. While others pursue results, I want you to grow roots in my presence. When your roots run deep, no storm can shake you. When you learn to rest, you will no longer be pushed and pulled by the demands of others or the pressures within yourself. In the quiet, you will hear what the noise never allowed. In the stillness, you will realize that I have always been speaking. It's just that you were once too busy to listen. When Elijah hid in the cave, expecting me in the strong wind, the earthquake, or the fire, I did not appear in those things. But then, I came in a gentle whisper. I do not need earthquakes to reveal my presence. I only need a heart that longs to seek me. My beloved, if you now feel cut off from familiar sources, do not quickly assume that you are lost. It may be that I am leading you through a wilderness not to abandon you, but to meet with you. In the desert, Israel learned how to rely completely on me. Without fields, they lived on manna each day. Without maps, they followed the pillar of cloud and fire. Likewise, I am teaching you that your life does not come from outward sources, but from an intimate relationship with me. You do not need every step made clear in order to move forward. You need only one thing, to know that I go before you. And when you know that, you can enter any place, even places you've never been, because your confidence is not in the path, but in the one who leads. When you choose to trust me, each step becomes a journey of communion with the divine. And in that place, peace that surpasses all understanding will reign, not because your situation has changed, but because you are hidden within my heart. My child, there is a reason I lead you into roads where no one else walks, into places where even light and voices are scarce. It is not because I desire you to be lonely, but because I desire you to be set apart. You were not created to blend into the crowd. You were not chosen to conform to others' standards. I am crafting something unique within you, and for that reason, you cannot walk the path of the many. Set apartness is the first stage of holiness. And when you are made holy, you will no longer move according to the patterns of the past, but begin to align with the frequency of heaven. Do not be surprised when those who were once close begin to drift away. Do not panic when familiar places suddenly feel foreign. This is not your fault, nor is it a punishment. It is the quiet yet powerful work I am doing within your soul. I am changing your vision. I am tuning your ears to hear the sounds of heaven. As I prepare you for what is sacred, I must help you let go of the noise that distracts. I am calling you to separate from the compromises you once deemed acceptable. For you are no longer called to live like the ordinary. You are called to carry the imprint of my presence. There is a cost to carrying that presence, and that cost is total surrender. Not partial. Not only when it's convenient, but your entire life, offered as a living sacrifice. It is when you say, even when I do not understand, I still trust. Even when I cannot see ahead, I still walk. Even when I feel nothing, I still worship. That is where faith ceases to be a concept and becomes the actual heartbeat of your soul. And in that place, I will meet you not merely as a provider, but as a father, not just as your source, but your refuge, not only as power, but as intimacy. My beloved, it is in the seemingly quietest days that I am doing my most powerful work. When you see nothing moving, know that roots are growing deeper. When you do not feel my presence, know that your faith is being refined. And when the only words you can utter are, Lord, please don't leave me, it is then that your heart has truly learned to depend on me. I never require you to be strong in front of me. On the contrary, I want you to learn how to be weak in my arms, because it is in that place that I will become your strength, your unshakable pillar in the depths of your soul. Child, do not measure your worth by the approval of others. Do not let loveless words steal your identity in me. I called you precious before you did anything to deserve it. I chose you when you had nothing to offer. Do not let rejection, closed doors, or delayed dreams make you question my love for you. The enemy always seeks to plant thoughts that you are not enough, that you've been forgotten, that your prayers carry no weight. But remember, he is a liar from the beginning, and every word he speaks is meant to pull you away from your trust in me. I do not see you the way the world does. I see the potential you are too afraid to believe in. I see the courage hidden beneath your tears. I see the quiet faithfulness when no one is clapping. And I remember it all. I never overlook a single act of love, a simple prière, or even the smallest decision to obey. Everything you do with a sincere heart is written in heaven's book of remembrance. You are not a drifting object lost in time. You are a chosen masterpiece, being shaped under the hand of the Creator, so that on the appointed day, you will stand and shine in the exact way I have ordained for you. Let your heart be still before me. Let the questions cease to take up the space meant for praise. Let simple obedience take the place of doubt. For in the land where you have nothing left to cling to but me, you will discover that I am enough. And from that place, all else will be added unto you. My child, I know there have been moments when you sat alone, gazing into the misty horizon, unable to discern a clear direction. There were days when you cried out from within, yet your lament seemed to echo back from emptiness. There were evenings when you prayed and felt no response, and you began to wonder, am I still there? Do I still listen? Am I still at work, my beloved? Do not let my silence make you doubt my love, for not everything I do is loud. Many of the greatest miracles are formed in absolute stillness. I never walk away from you. Even in the very moment when you assumed I was silent, that was when I was moving most powerfully on your behalf. Look back on the storms you have already passed through, the times when it seemed like you were about to collapse, but somehow you stood again. It wasn't your own strength that held you up. It was my hand lifting you when no one else could see. You did not survive the dark nights of the soul on your own. It was because I was beside you, whispering to you in the shadows that the dawn would come. And every time the sun rose again, it was not a coincidence. It was a reminder that I still uphold my covenant with you, that my promises have not been forgotten. Do not seek me only in the brilliance of miracles. Learn to find me in the ordinary. For I am not only the one who parts the Red Sea, but also the one who gives daily manna. I do not only appear in fire, but also whisper in the gentle breeze. I do not only heal instantly, but restore little by little through long seasons. Do not let earthly eyes measure my presence by outward signs. Silence is not absence. Delay is not denial. There are seasons in which I hold you back just to teach you how to believe when there's nothing left to cling to that is the purest faith. Perhaps you've thought that you've lost your way, that you've taken the wrong path, or that you've missed my guidance altogether. But I say to you, no step you take is ever wasted if you've surrendered your life to me. I can turn wandering into a way. I can use failure to teach you victory. You do not need to be flawless to be used by me. You only need to be willing. Every scar you carry, every crack you hide in shame, I will use those very places as openings through which my light will shine. Do not conceal what you've gone through. Do not fear your painful memories. Those are the very things that will become living testimonies of my mercy. Think of Peter, who denied me 3 times, a mistake that seemed unforgivable. But I did not cast him away. I called him back not just to forgive, but to build him into the rock upon which my church would stand. In the same way, there is nothing so broken in you that I cannot restore. Nothing you have done that can cancel my plans for your life. In fact, sometimes it is those very wounds that allow you to reach those others cannot. For when you have known pain, you will know how to comfort. When you have been shattered, you will know how to lift others. You will not speak from theory, but from lived experience, and that is the power that truly heals. My child, I am preparing you for a new season, but to enter it, you must let go. There are things you must leave behind, not because they are evil, but because they no longer fit. Certain relationships, ambitions, habits, patterns of thought, all of these must be sifted. I do not want you carrying old baggage into the new journey, for that weight will only slow you down. Let me gently strip away the old garments from you. I will clothe you with something new, not made by human hands, but woven by my grace and my divine choosing. You will not have to walk alone. In this new season, I will go before you, making a way for you in the wilderness and causing rivers to flow in dry places. I will prevent the enemy from touching you, for you are covered by my very presence. But the condition is this: you must move forward. Do not remain in the old place out of fear. Do not look back because of nostalgia. You cannot enter into what is new if your eyes are still fixed on what is past. Your gaze must be set ahead, where I am waiting for you, where your destiny is calling out. And as you walk, do not worry about being prepared. I do not call those who are already ready. I make ready those whom I call. Your preparation does not lie in your degrees, your connections, or your capabilities, but in your surrender. When you say, "Yes, Lord," that is when the training begins. I will teach you step by step, strengthen you day by day, give you the words to speak, the wisdom to choose rightly, and the courage to keep going. My beloved, when you enter the transition I have ordained, it may seem like everything around you begins to tremble. Things that once felt solid will be tested. Relationships that once felt close may begin to show their limits. And even within your own heart, deep questions may rise to the surface. But do not let your heart be shaken. These are not signs that you are on the wrong path. Rather, they are confirmation that you are drawing closer to the fulfillment of my promise. Before every mountaintop lies a steep climb. Before every dawn, there is a night to endure. I am leading you out of your comfort zone to bring you to a place where your faith will blossom. There are things I will not explain to you right now, not because I am hiding from you, but because I want your heart to learn to trust without needing to understand everything. Like Abraham, who went out not knowing where he was going, trusting only in a promise. He had no map, no schedule, only a living relationship with me, and that was enough to make him a friend of God. I am inviting you into that kind of relationship, not built on calculation, but on connection I do not need you to prove yourself. I need you to remain in my presence. There will be moments when you feel lost, even in places that once felt familiar. That is because I am lifting you into a higher realm in that place. The old language no longer suffices, and the old baggage is no longer fit to carry. I am forming in you a new core, not just so you can stand firm, but so you can lead. What I do in you is not just for you, but for others who are waiting to be released through you. There are souls thirsting for living words, and I want to use your journey to become the answer to questions they have been silently carrying. You are not called merely to survive, but to lead, not as a hero, but as one who has fallen and been lifted by me. It is that very authenticity that will unlock hearts. Do not be ashamed of where you have been. I will use what you thought were failures as the foundation for your new calling. I will turn your mistakes into victories and your pain into tools for healing. When you dare to tell your story with humility, I will pour my anointing oil into it, and those who hear it will not only be moved, they will be transformed. Do not be surprised if some people distance themselves from you during this time. I am refining the circle around you. Those who cannot walk with you into this next elevation will be redirected, not because they are bad, but because they no longer beat in rhythm with your destiny. I want you to learn how to live not according to human approval, but by the inward confirmation that comes from me. The temporary loneliness will give birth to a deeper intimacy between me and you, a space no one else can enter, where only the whispers between father and child can be heard. And from that hidden place, revelations will flow that you could never receive in a crowded room. Let me teach you how to walk in the authority I have given you, not an authority to dominate, but to serve, not to exalt yourself, but to stoop low. It is those who know how to wash the feet of others that I will raise up. It is those who grieve for others that I will empower to bring healing. When you no longer seek glory for yourself, it is then that my glory will shine upon you. I am not looking for the most talented, but for those most willing to humble themselves. And you, if you keep your heart tender, I will do wonders through you that no one will be able to deny. My child, remain faithful, even in the little things. You do not need a grand stage to reveal your heart. In the quiet places where no one sees, I am watching. When you choose to do what is right in solitude, my angels are recording. When you choose to forgive in silence, heaven applauds. The greatest rewards are not reserved for the well-known, but for the faithful. And to those who are faithful with little, I will entrust much. Soon, you will see doors begin to open, but do not assume that all are from me. The enemy knows how to craft opportunities too, and not every invitation is a divine calling. You need discernment, a gift that comes only through listening to me daily. When you become familiar with my voice in stillness, you will not be deceived by noise. Ask me before you step forward. Wait for me to confirm in your heart. If there is a deep peace with uneven, if the path ahead looks difficult, then that is your sign to move forward. But if there is unrest in your spirit, even if the door appears wide open, then wait a little longer. I will not allow you to be deceived if you earnestly seek me. My child, in this season of specific training, there are things that will be taken from you not because you lost them, but because I removed them by my own hand. Loss is not always failure. Sometimes it is a cleansing, allowing your soul to grow lighter so it may soar higher. Do not cling to what I've already told you to release. There are arms that once held you in the last season, but if you keep leaning on them, there will be no room to receive the new embrace I am offering. I am calling you into a season of maturity, and that requires letting go not only of what is harmful, but also of what is good but no longer aligned with where I am taking you. I see the turmoil in your heart when you must turn away from something that seems beautiful. I know there have been times when you wanted to agree just to keep the peace, to accept in order to preserve relationships, to stay silent so no one would be hurt. But my beloved, when I call you to live in truth, sometimes silence is no longer love, it is complicity with darkness. I do not want you to become harsh, but neither have I called you to compromise. I desire that your heart remains soft before me, yet unwavering in the face of lies. In a world that favors comfort, I am calling you to stand in truth even if it means you must stand alone. When you faithfully speak what must be spoken and do what must be done with love, but without compromise, I will defend you. What you do in obedience will always be protected by me. I am the one who sees the tears you shed because you followed my call, even when it led to misunderstanding and rejection. Do not fear, for I am building within you a pillar unshakable, unafraid. That pillar will be a refuge for many others. They will look to your steadfastness and find the courage to stand firm against the winds that oppose them. Do not be troubled when you don't feel strong. True strength does not come from self-confidence, but from dependence. I did not choose you because you were capable, but because you were willing to be shaped. Just as David was once only a shepherd boy, overlooked by many, yet it was in the wilderness that he learned to listen to me, trust me, and fight with stones among wolves. It was in that solitude that I forged him into a king, and I am doing the same in you. I see the moments when you rise, even with the little strength you have left. I remember the nights you could not sleep because you carried the burdens of others. No one else sees but I do. My child, do not grow weary over the small things that go unnoticed. I want you to understand that no act of love is ever wasted. When you help in silence, when you pray in secret, when you sacrifice without applause, those are the very things I am using as the foundation for the greater work I am preparing. You don't need to be loud to be known, for it is the hidden things that carry eternal value. I do not need you to shine like fireworks, but to endure like an oil lamp burning through the night. That light may not dazzle, but it never fades. Soon, you will be invited into new places where you may feel unworthy to enter. But it is I who have prepared those places for you. Do not decline because of shame. Do not retreat because of the past. What you have been through does not defile you. It becomes a testimony of my restoration. The people who will encounter you are not looking for someone perfect, but for someone redeemed, someone cleansed, and someone who dared to return with a sincere heart. Your very presence, when clothed in humility, will break chains in dry and weary hearts. Prepare for the harvest season, but do not forget that harvesting follows seasons of plowing, sowing, and enduring both sun and storm. You may not see fruit yet, but I see the roots growing deep. You may not see doors opening, but I have already sent angels to stand at the threshold. Do not measure success by immediate outcomes. I do not count by numbers, I measure by faithfulness. And a steadfast heart in the darkness holds more value than 1,000 sermons under spotlights. Keep walking, even if the steps are small, toward the light I have shown before you. There may be no applause, but I am clapping from heaven. You may feel slow, but every step you take is forming a path. Do not judge yourself by comparing with others. They have their own journey, and you have a purpose that has been entrusted to you alone. Just as one hand cannot perform the work of another, every member has its unique place and irreplaceable role. And you are an essential part of the body I am establishing on this earth. I am expanding your vision. The old boundaries can no longer contain you. The dreams that once were buried are being stirred again. But this time, you will not pursue them with your own strength, but by my power. I am not only giving you the vision, but also the means and the grace to bring it to pass. Yet before it takes form in the visible world, your heart must be ready. I do not want you to move forward with temporary excitement, but with deep conviction. For what is born of emotion fades quickly, but what comes from revelation endures. My beloved, I want you to realize that these steps you're taking now are not only for your present journey, but are a spiritual inheritance for the generation after you. Every time you choose faithfulness, you are laying a solid stone into a foundation that others will one day stand upon. Every prayer you lift is not just sound in the wind, it becomes a record stored in heaven. Never believe that your labor is in vain. In my kingdom, no act is small when done with faith and love. Think of Abraham, the one I called out from familiar lands to go into a place he had never known. He did not see the whole picture, but he heard my voice, and that was enough. Likewise, I do not ask you to understand everything, I ask you to believe and take the step. Abraham was not only blessed for himself, his descendants became as numerous as the stars in the sky. It all began with a single obedient step. And so it is with you. The decisions you are making today, whether quiet or wearisome, will bear fruit not only in your own life, but will ripple through generations to come. Remember this, my child, no one can take the place I have uniquely designed for you. No one else can live out the calling that has been written with your name upon it. If you refuse it, yes, it will still come to pass. For my purposes cannot be thwarted, but you will miss the glory and the blessing I long to share with you. So do not delay. Do not let fear make you draw back. Know this, I did not choose you because you were strong, but because I long to be your strength in the very places of your weakness. Those who dare to move forward despite trembling, yet obey me, fully those are the ones who shall witness the most wondrous works of my hand. My child, it is time for you to release the image of yourself that others have imposed on you. No longer live under the weight of worldly expectations. I did not call you to please the crowds, but to delight the heart of the one who called you. In the courts of heaven, no one is measured by fame or human recognition. I search for hearts that are true, for those who will stand firm in truth, even when it costs them their comfort and connection. Do not be afraid of such isolation. The solitude found in me is not abandonment. It is the very place where I deepen you, train you, and reveal to you things that cannot be heard amidst the noise of the crowd. Do you not know that in the silence of the wilderness, I met many whom I later used in extraordinary ways? Moses was forgotten in the desert for 40 years. But it was there that I appeared in the burning bush. Elijah fled into a cave in fear, and yet there I did not speak through fire or earthquake, but through a gentle whisper, and in the wilderness too. John the Baptist lived far from society, yet his voice thundered and shook an entire generation. You see, I rarely move as the world expects, but what I do is never meaningless. Now is the time to cleanse your heart of every impure thought. Do not allow bitterness to take root. Do not let disappointment corrode your faith. Do not let anxiety over timing make you hasty. There are things you have asked for which I have not answered, not because I did not hear, but because I am waiting for you to be ready to receive. The doors I open are not only for you to step through, but for you to carry in light, life, and truth. So ask yourself, are you still dragging old burdens into a new journey? Are you trying to walk forward in a mantle that no longer fits? Change the way you see waiting. In my kingdom, waiting is never abandonment, it is preparation. Just as Joseph was forgotten in prison, yet in that hidden place he learned faithfulness when no one was watching. And when the time came, he was not only delivered, but exalted to save an entire nation. I am using this time to refine you, so that when the door opens, you will not only be ready, but mature enough to carry what I entrust to you. My beloved, obedience in the small things is the preparation for greater things. When I see you obey in matters others overlook or dismiss, I know your heart is ready for greater trust. Tend to your soul. Listen for even the faintest whisper from me, and act without delay. For it is in the quickness of your obedience that you will witness a cascade of miracles sown after another beyond what human reasoning can explain. I am leading you through a sacred corridor where all noise fades, where false lights are extinguished, and only my voice remains. Enter that place with reverence and awe. Here, you will hear what not every ear can hear. You will see what not every eye can see. And once you emerge from that secret place, the light upon you will be unmistakable, undeniable. It cannot be hidden. My child, the season of rising is near. I have been preparing you not only to endure, but to overcome. And this victory will not come like a fleeting firework, but as a lasting transformation etched into your life and into the lives of many others. Therefore, do not be shaken. Do not measure yourself by delays or silence. Know that every heartbeat of yours in faithfulness resounds mightily in heaven. I am moving, and you will soon see the fruit. My beloved, when I look upon your life, I do not see the failures you so often see in yourself. I see a journey marked by perseverance, ignited by faith that has flickered but never gone out. I see the times you knelt in silence, when the world turned its back, yet you still looked toward me with a fragile hope. It was in those moments when no one was watching, when there were no applause, when nothing remained to carry you forward, but love for me, that heaven trembled. These hidden, seemingly small acts done in love and faith weigh more than the most eloquent sermon spoken before thousands. Now, you are stepping into a pivotal moment. Everything you've gone through, from the unnamed wounds to the sleepless nights of prayer, has not been in vain. They are the foundation for the harvest to come. But you must be ready. Do not let the suddenness of the moment catch your heart unprepared. Do not let the open doors find your mind still distracted. I do not announce the exact day or hour, because I want you to live awake. Just like the 5 wise virgins who kept their lamps full of oil, you too must keep your flame burning, whether surrounded by silence or shrouded in darkness. When the time comes, you will not be afraid, but will rise like one long prepared for the glory to be revealed. Do you remember how I stopped the rain for 3.5 years in Elijah's time? That was not a random act, but a prophetic intervention. Yet, after the drought, when the time came for the rain to return, Elijah bowed low, face between his knees, and prayed 7 times without giving up. Why would a promise from me require such perseverance? Because there are things I have spoken that must be protected and partnered with through relentless prayer in order to open the heavens. You cannot be passive. This is the moment to pray as if your soul depends on it, because truly, your future is waiting for you to rise with courage and faith. My child, do not interpret your circumstances by emotions. Silence does not mean I am inactive. In the quietest moments, I am often moving the most powerfully, just as when Jesus lay in the tomb for 3 days it seemed all hope was lost, as though darkness had triumphed. Yet beneath the surface, resurrection power was rising, preparing to overturn all despair. In the same way, you may feel like you are in your own second day, where silence looms and your soul grows weary in the absence of light. But do not lose heart, the third day is coming. Resurrection will happen. The question is, will you stand firm even before you see the result? You must learn to live by my word, not by the fluctuations of your environment. If you wait for conditions to be favorable before you believe, that is not faith. If you rejoice only when things are pleasant, then your joy is tied to the world. But I want you to have a steadfastness that flows from me, the one who does not change, who is not shaken by the times. Let your soul be anchored in my word. For when the winds rise, when the storms come, only those rooted deeply in my word will remain standing. Read it. Memorize it. Declare it. My word is not lifeless ink. It is the sword of the Spirit, the bread of life, the unending stream that never runs dry. And now, you must understand that the small things you are facing today are training grounds for the greater things you will step into tomorrow. Do not despise the lessons taught through pain. I am training your hands for battle and strengthening your heart so that you will not tremble before the enemy. You will no longer be shaken by threats or overwhelmed by rejection. You will stand firm like Joshua before the walls of Jericho, like David before Goliath, like Esther before the king. These were people who once feared and trembled, but they chose obedience, and their obedience unlocked a miraculous path beyond human understanding. Do not look back anymore. Do not measure what I am about to do by the lens of past experiences. I am not confined by what you have known or seen before. I am the one who makes a way through the sea, who causes water to gush forth from the rock, who opens the eyes of the blind and calls the dead back to life. Nothing is too late. No situation is beyond redemption. But I need your cooperation, not through your own strength, but through trust. I am building in you a renewed mind, a vision that surpasses fear, and a heart that continually seeks me in every circumstance. Are you ready to step into the new season? Not just another cycle of time, but a profound shift in the realm of the Spirit. If you are ready, I will pour out what no eye has seen, no ear has heard, and no heart has imagined. But it is not for the indifferent. It is for those who are awake, who listen, and who respond. You are one of them if you choose not to miss it. My beloved child, once you have decided to enter into my new season, you must also recognize that a movement is taking place in the spiritual realm that the natural eye cannot perceive. Waves of divine intervention are being released, and my heavenly armies have been dispatched not to observe, but to act, but to walk in step with what I am doing. Your thinking must change. Your mind needs to be renewed, not conformed to the pattern of this world, but aligned with heavenly wisdom. You can no longer hold on to outdated thoughts or limitations imposed by your past. Just as new cloth cannot patch an old garment, and new wine cannot be poured into old wineskins. The breakthrough I am about to release cannot flow into a mindset stuck in the old. You were once bound by frameworks of fear of failure, fear of being misunderstood, fear of not being enough. But do you know this? Those things are not truth. They are merely echoes of lies planted in your mind by the enemion who has long studied your vulnerabilities and used them to keep you confined. But I have come to shatter every chain. I have come not just to comfort you in your prison, but to throw open the gates and call you out into freedom. Yet an open door means nothing if you do not choose to rise and walk through it. Freedom does not come automatically. It is taken hold of through faith and obedience. You are no longer passive. You are a bearer of heavenly authority, not because of titles or past experiences, but because I live within you. As my word declares, he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world. Lift your head. Do not let old failures define you anymore. They are not your end. Only pauses that teach you humility, trust, and perseverance. When Job lost everything, it seemed that all goodness had come to a close, but he did not deny me. And in the end, he was blessed more than at the beginning. In the same way, I do not only desire to restore you, I desire to give you more than what you lost. But to receive this, you must let me work in the deepest places of your heart. There are corners you have yet to let my light shine upon. There are memories, wounds, and unforgiven relationships that are hindering the flow of life. Do not fear when I begin to shake those things. I do not come to condemn, but to set you free. Just as a gardener prunes dead branches not to punish the tree, but to help it bear more fruit, I am cutting away what is lifeless, so that you may grow into fullness of life. But I need your cooperation. You must say yes to this process, even when it is uncomfortable. My child, do not expect everything to go smoothly. When you step into new territory, there will be opposition, but opposition is not a sign that you are going the wrong way. Sometimes, it is the very evidence that you are entering territory the enemy does not want you to possess. Do not be afraid when the winds begin to rise. Just as Jesus slept in the boat amidst the storm, unshaken by the waves because he knew the power of the Father was stronger than the sea itself. You too are not called to escape the storm, but to learn how to walk upon the waves. You have been equipped. Within you is the word of life, my presence, and the teaching of the Holy Spirit. Every trial is not a sign of abandonment, but a training ground in the army of heaven. Just as David fought the lion and the bear before he faced Goliath, the smaller battles you face now are preparing you for greater ones and for even more glorious victories. I do not send you into battle without arming you. Remember this truth. And above all, do not compare your journey to that of others. You are not called to walk in anyone else's footsteps, but to follow the unique calling I have placed upon your life. Each person has their own timing, their own method, and their own assignment. If you keep looking to the left and to the right, you will lose focus on what I am doing right in front of you. Be like Peter, who stepped out of the boat when Jesus called him. But when he looked at the waves instead of the one who called him, he began to sink. I do not want you to merely start in faith. I want you to finish in obedience. Beloved, keep walking. You do not need to understand everything. You do not need to have all the answers. Just take one step at a time, and I will light the way. The small things you do today, your sincere prayers, your acts of forgiveness, Your decision to trust rather than fear stirring movement in the spiritual realm. You are creating a ripple that will touch the generations after you. What you are enduring is not in vain. What you are carrying is not a useless burden. All of it is being used by me to build something that no one can tear down. Do not look back. Do not retreat. And do not define yourself through the lens of the past. You are being made new, not in part, but completely. Rise with courage, not because you are strong, but because I am with you. And as you go, I will go before you. I will make the way. I will bring down strongholds. I will turn dry places into fruitful lands. My child, as this season draws to a close, a new door is already opening before your eyes. This is no longer the time for delay or hesitation. It is the moment for you to step into a ripe season of spiritual maturity and fulfill the mission I ordained for you before you were born. Every step you take from now on is no longer just a personal effort in the shadow. It is the resonance of a life aligned with the grand design of heaven. You are no longer living just to survive. You are living to influence, to transform, and to glorify my name in a generation that is longing for truth, for healing, and for eternal life. Look back on all that you have overcome: the silent nights, the nameless tears, the exhaustion no one could see, and let this truth echo in your soul. Nothing was meaningless. Every sorrow you endured, every rejection you experienced, every wound you carried, I have taken note of them all. They did not weaken you. They have been shaping you into a precious instrument, a vessel of glory, like gold refined in the fire. You have not been burned. You have been prepared to reflect my light in the darkness of this world. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are an heir to a kingdom that cannot be shaken. The blood of the innocent one was shed for you, not so that you would live in shame or defeat, but so that you would walk in the authority and dignity of an adopted child. Do not let the memories of past failures hinder your steps. Do not let the harsh words spoken by others define who you are. I, the Lord, not the world, am the one who shapes your identity. And that identity cannot be denied, cannot be stolen, and cannot be shaken. You are the chosen one, a sacred seed in the midst of a barren time, a living promise taking form. Remember this: you do not walk alone. You are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses, by the intercession of the saints, and by the power of the Holy Spirit who lives and breathes within you. When you are weak, I make you strong. When you are weary, I uphold you. When you are doubtful, I cover you with my faithfulness. My beloved child, if you simply keep going, keep standing, and keep holding fast to your faith, you will see my hand move. Though it may seem delayed to man, I am never late. All my promises are fulfilled in their appointed time. And now, the season of harvest is drawing near, not in the way you imagined, but in the way I have ordained. Do not assess your strength based on how you feel. You were not called to live by emotion, but by obedience. Emotions may waver, but my word remains unshakable. What I have promised, I will fulfill. Just as Job, who had lost everything and seemed to have nothing left to live for, still declared, "Though he slay me, yet will I hope in him." That is the kind of faith I am seeking in you, not a faith that survives only on sunny days, but a faith that endures in the storm, a faith that stands firm even before the miracle comes, a faith that continues to pray even when the heavens are silent. Now, you are not only invited to be nourished, but to nourish others. what I have done in your heart. I want you to share with the souls who are thirsting. Be a sower of hope. Live as a lampset on a stand. Do not hide your light. Do not wait until you feel perfect to begin. You were not called because you are flawless. You were called because you have been touched, healed, and reborn. Go and share that truth. Every word you speak, every act you carry out, every forgiveness you offer each one is a seed that will bear new life in others. I have not only called you to live for the present moment, but to live with eternity in mind. The choices you make today will echo into forever. So live with awareness. Guard your heart with clarity and steadfast faith. The enemy will keep trying to wear you down, to make you doubt, to tempt you to turn back. But you were not born to retreat. You were born to fight and to overcome by your own strength, but by the power that is working within you. Just as Paul once said, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. I desire for you to be able to say the same on that final day. My beloved, the days ahead will be days of unveiling. The things I have sown in you will bloom. The doors that were once shut will swing open. The relationships that were wounded will be restored. The territories you once feared will become your promised land. But not because of your own ability, but because I am faithful and true. Every step you take is not in vain. Every prayer you've lifted is not lost. Every tear you've cried has not been forgotten. All of it is weaving together a divine symphony. And now, the trumpet of heaven is sounding. Prepare, for the harvest season is here. Enter 4. Thank you for receiving today's message. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that together we may continue to receive the living word. Build unshakable faith and walk in the boundless love of Christ.